The comments and views expressed on The More Show are those of the people that make them and do not necessarily reflect the view of Kevin Moore, The More Show, or this radio station and its affiliate or sponsors. This show is for entertainment purposes only.
Broadcasting from the UK and across the world online. You're now watching The More Show and I'm your host, Kevin Moore. Now for the next hour, I'll be covering subjects that will open up your mind and provide you with information you may have never heard before. Now on today's show, I'm about to be joined with my guest, Wieteke Koolhof. Now Whitik is a channeler, artist, life coach and energy worker from the Netherlands. Now she's been in contact with extraterrestrial beings since an early age, and only since the past few years has started to come forward with these experiences. Now it's her heartfelt passion and joy to share free from fear information with others about these topics. Now Witik is internationally known for her channeling work with Arjun of the Yahyel. She facilitates group and private sessions in Europe, the USA and in person via Skype and more. Wieteke Koolhof, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's great to have you on, Wieteke. It really is. We've been talking loads off air just there, and it's great because we actually met each other, didn't we? A number of weeks ago in central Amsterdam.
Yes, we did.
And that was, I've just remembered. What am I thinking of? There's been so much going on this week. I mentioned you in one of my videos. That's right. You were the inspiration for me putting out my near-death experience. I forgot all about that.
I actually saw that. Thank you for referring to me anonymously.
Thank you so much. Do you know what, right? Because when you advised me, to do that video, I was like, oh, should I? Do you know what I mean? Is it really, And then I remember what the words, I'm paraphrasing the words that you said it, but it will help other people. It's not about you. Get out of the way, right? In one sense, and it's about the other people. And you were so right.
Yeah, because it's such a beautiful and precious experience. Why not share? So when you told me that, I was like, wow, yeah, that's a beautiful story.
Do you know what? In that conversation we had when I came to yours, there was so much we talked about, right? And there was part of me that was thinking, oh God, I wish I'd written some of this stuff down. Do you know what I mean? Because it was a really good conversation we had. And what was beautiful about it was was that there was so much stuff that I thought that, I couldn't talk to many people about because it was kind of on the edge a little bit, some of the stuff that I had channeled. And I was saying this stuff to you and you were like, yeah, and you should add this to it and this is what I think of it. And I was like, whoa, she really gets it.
Yeah, didn't you just speak to somebody else shortly before that about soul connections and how we create our own reality? Because that's where we really took off. Yeah.
I've got to say, when I come across people with an authentic gift, it's a beautiful thing because it's if I hadn't had the experience of channeling myself, then obviously in this field it would have been initially wow, there's so much to take in. Do you know what I mean? But when you experiment yourself and you do it yourself, you then I don't know, having that personal truth, that personal experience really helps you to discern and connect them with other people on a different level.
Yeah. Yes, I think so too. Yeah, because you can always, the only thing you have anyway is your own emotional compass, your own intuition that would tell you your personal truth. But yeah, I think when you are broadening your own knowledge on this topic, that if you have done some meditation and inward work for yourself, that it helps understand the others that are sharing about that as well.
Yeah, absolutely, it does, absolutely. Well, look, it is so great to have you on.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Well, you're based in, like I say, central Amsterdam. And what is the spiritual community like in the Netherlands in general, would you say?
I think the Netherlands are pretty open-minded, actually. And there's a lot going on, I feel. There's a lot of activity. Of course, you have to look it up. It may not be that visible out there on the streets, for instance, but there's all kinds of possibilities that are very easy ways to access and start exploring for yourself, like free local meditation groups, yoga. There's a lot of talks, especially in Amsterdam. A lot of teachers come by here and do seminars. So I think in Amsterdam, I don't know for the rest of the Netherlands, but I think the whole organic food thing is going really great right now. And yeah, I recently even heard somebody else tell me that my country is gonna really support the use of electric cars starting 2025, something like that, and wants to stop the oil industries. And I was like, wow, what great news! And so I think, yeah, it's a pretty progressive country from where I'm standing and
That's
looking
amazing.
around.
That's amazing. That's so good. And it's, well, with your journey then, just tell us as well, how did you start on this journey? Who were you prior to channeling, and what was your sort of awakening experience as well?
Who was I prior to channeling? Wow, it's like everything blends at some moment. I can see now when I look back at my life how that was always a part of it, even though I wasn't very much aware of it in the beginning. So when I was a child, I experienced beings and visitations, and I didn't know what to do with it. And that became a more urgent longing to understand that as I grew older. So you could find me in the library at 12 because we didn't have internet yet. That seems like forever ago, right? So I would go to the library and get books on also becoming a vegetarian and about astrology. And so these were the first things that I felt really intensely driven to go expand my consciousness in. And I had dreams that I didn't understand. So I would look up books that explain dream symbols or meaning. And from there, later in like late teens, beginning of my 20s, I started to understand my own dream language and to be able to make more sense out of the astral journeys. And that really helped take off big time. But I was confused for why. I really didn't know what was going on. I felt as if everything that was... Okay, so back then I experienced it as things that were happening to me. And now I understand everything is happening through me. So my perspective has changed greatly. Mm-hmm. But back then, there was a moment when I was around 23 when I felt like I was losing it. And I was a good student in school, and I got my stuff together, I could pay my rent, I was out on my own, but I really felt like I needed help. So I actually sought up a professional, and I had some conversations, and this dear man, he was an ex-hypnotherapist. Oh, wow. So I had, he was, and I wasn't looking for somebody alternative in that necessarily, it's just who I ended up with. And it was such a blessing, because this guy reflected to me how to use that symbolic language and start seeing it as a friend, not as something outside of me that can work against me. So once I started seeing that around 23, and I integrated that, everything shifted tremendously. And at 24, I saw my first UFO, and I was never into sci-fi or ETs or anything like that. But I did know that whatever was visiting me in the night wasn't ghosts either. So I had this vague knowing of it's something else. But when I saw the UFO, then everything started accelerating in the direction of Interstellar. And now I'm channeling, as far as I understand it, to be a being of the Yahyel.
Right, now this is where it gets right. Okay, this is so super interesting. So you've asked this question to a number of people. I'm going to ask it back to you as well, because I think this is really important. Because there's many people I've met in the in channeling that are channeling, groups of consciousness. Oh gosh, all sorts. Some of these groups of consciousness have no names, right?
Actually, yeah.
So they've maybe in their on their path never come into, or may never come into, I'm not saying they won't, but have not yet come into extraterrestrial channeling. So how does the ET contribute to someone's spiritual journey or spiritual awakening or spiritual path, would you say?
I see that all of that is interwoven. So whatever a person is channeling, whether they believe it's Christ consciousness, which is basically the human bigger consciousness in a sense, or you could call that Krishna consciousness or Buddha, it doesn't really matter. It's like more like these marker names that we have for that specific kind of very evolved human energy. But that is equal to stepping into the universal oneness. And so Interstellar is right up there with that and instantly flows in. So for me, it's almost one. So when you're speaking of ascended masters, I basically can see them smiling right next to an ET. And for me, there's hardly any difference. So, but I think that what we think we perceive is the perfect reflection in that moment for that person to learn from on their own spiritual journey. So we attract reflection that will, I think, catapult us the most in our own inner growth. So for some reason, for me, it never really seemed to be people that have passed over to the other side. Somehow I signed up for it to be Interstellar. And I can definitely tell you that is a great one to learn how to stand in your own strength and not be bothered, for instance, with the opinion of the masses.
Yeah. Well,
it will definitely make you grow.
That is so true. That is so true. And okay, but obviously, do you feel that when you are, with you having this ET connection, that basically there is some sort of parallel future or past life connection with that ET presence, with the consciousness of that presence?
Yes. So my most personal guide, I would say, is a being of the Yahyel. We used the name Arjun for him. We co-created that name. I asked him to give me a name that I could use to represent him to other people, as we are so used to having names. So, and then he came up with Arjun, and he explained to me that is the closest audio translation to his energy signature frequency. So, as we know it. So we're using Arjun, but it's just like a tool. But he's not alone. He works with a team, and I've actually met tons of different kinds of ETs. I do private sessions as well, where there is being scans done, and there's Mantids and Sirius and Sasani and even the other hybrids that haven't named themselves yet. And the hybrid children come by. It can be a pretty like a little party in the room, even though I'm doing a one-on-one session. It's very interesting. But Arjun is the, you could say, hub. He is the channel on the other side. He is translating them to me. But it's a group conversation in a sense.
I remember talking about this with you in your front room, and I think what one we spoke about as well was, we spoke about so much, was the idea that this could be a part of your higher self as well.
Yeah, oh yeah, so maybe I didn't even say that in this last answer. Yes, he did explain to me that he is a future version of myself. And it makes a lot of sense. So when I was younger, I've had a few astral journeys that I didn't understand, where I was shown a different planet or this Earth in the future, I'm not sure. But there was a guide with me, and that was him. And now I understand, even looking back at all my artworks and drawings, like how many times he was already there or part of that, because now I can have this open communication with him, and back then I didn't understand who was saying what and where is all of this coming from. But he actually, this is going to sound so weird, I never shared this with anyone before. One time I had an astral journey, and I got to be in his body for a moment.
Wow.
So I knew I was in the future, and I had this male body, and I was really happy because they're on a really high frequency all the time. And it felt so good. And I woke up all confused, like, do I want to be a man? Where's this from? But that's for a moment. I thought like, huh? And I was never confused about being a woman. I mean, I love being a woman. But now I understand that this was his way to explain to me that somewhere in the future, in a different world, I am a part of you. We are each other, and we can exchange points of view in a sense.
Isn't that a beautiful thing as well, that sometimes if, as men as well, I can say this from a man's, but if we just embrace some of the feminine aspects sometimes, I'm not saying, we don't embrace a masculine side, but I mean, if we just did in respects to some decisions we make, we might be coming from a different perspective with it.
Yeah, well, I think we all contain male and female, of course.
This is my point, yeah.
And it's about the balance, I think, in everything.
Absolutely.
But then again, I even think labeling something as male and female right now, I avoid that because part of me started to believe you cannot even do that because it's all just energy, and I'm really looking beyond that. And what is male and what is female? What is typically, I understand it as a label, as a metaphor, but that's really what it is. And I think also in the channelings, when the beings that speak through us talk about male and female, they understand they have to fine-tune the translation somehow, so they use this metaphor. But eventually it's all energy. And there's no right or wrong.
No, that's right. There is no right and wrong. And isn't it a beautiful thing that you can see in a potential future, how the level that you've progressed onto, and spiritually how advanced you've become, because the information that you're bringing through in the readings that you give people and channeled information that maybe you contribute towards whatever essays that you do, or how whatever if you document some of the channelings that come through, just how wise that information is, how loving it is, how it wants to really help you in the moment now. So it's almost like your future aspect is connecting with your present moment now for it to become more highly evolved than it could be in a possible future moment, because the more it helps itself in the past, the more you're helping the self in that future life.
Exactly, because it's in a sense, Arjun keeps calling everything an open invitation. So everything that they're offering is an open invitation. There's absolutely no insistence that anything gets done with it anyway to begin with. But if it lands well, or gets received well, and you can use it, or you choose to use this information that's coming through, it's a little bit like, this is going to sound like a weird metaphor maybe, but like you could, okay, let's make it a modern version of having a car and going to the gas station. So you have your electric car, your Tesla car, and you wished you had put more electricity in yesterday, but you couldn't then. So this future version is a little bit like that.
Yeah.
Because it understands if you can shift that past version of the electric car to a moment where it was charged, it will accelerate also the future. So this is, as I understand it, I hope you follow along with this, the expansion of our universe. It's expanding because all levels are cross-connecting and pulling each other forward. It's really magnificently beautiful. Like, I get these images a lot with channeling, and I keep seeing this kaleidoscopic. It's so beautiful. That's what's happening. Like kaleidoscope, we're constantly all influencing each other and lifting each other up and trying to pull each other down again a little bit maybe, but it's all your own perception anyway, so even the pulling down illusion creates new room for expansion. It's just dazzling.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's like you say, it's dazzling. It's so amazing. I mean, there's so many threads, right? There's so many ways we could take this conversation, and we could speak for ages just on one thread. And I know, I'm darting all over the place here in this conversation, just to try to get as much as possible in the 51 minutes that or the 60 minutes that we've got with each other. So yeah, it is dazzling. It really is. And you know, these I said this in my my latest ginger breakdown that I had on my vlog recently, where I said that, you know, this is just my personal truth, that I didn't feel that, you know, a consciously evolved ET was ever going to make contact, you know, to the masses on a massive scale, because spiritually, you know, consciously being spiritually evolved, I don't think they would take that freedom or rights away from us to do that and impose their truth on us. You know, we would have to get to their level for them to meet us at that point. So
halfway.
Yeah, I guess this is not really where my question was going to go. But let's just answer that part as well. That, you know, what do you feel about that?
They do lower their frequency to get closer to us. So that's actually what's happening in the channeling. They lower theirs. I heighten mine.
Right.
And we meet halfway in a new parallel dimension. It's actually a new one. So everything you co-create together, in a sense, is a new world. So as we are connecting there, we're also pre-creating, as I understand it right now, pre-creating the blueprint foundation, in a sense, of a world where everybody can have that contact physically, like openly. So right now, more and more people are starting to do channeling, and great, beautiful. So it's become a lot more accessible. The frequency of our planet is so much higher right now. So a lot of people are starting to have these connection experiences. So are you, so you know. And the more we use that, and we just practice that higher state, we actually bring down to earth a more open door for the manifestation of that, the physical manifestation of that.
That's so true. And isn't it amazing that sorry, what's the being that you're channeling is called, how do you pronounce it?
We're using the name Arjun.
Arjun, sorry.
Arjun.
Apologies to Arjun. Yes, that his.
Oh.
Well, I suppose I can say his, can't I? His veil must be a lot less than ours, because for him to be able to remember who he truly is, right, and to understand and have this much evolved consciousness, or, you know, a consciousness that's less shrouded with not remembering, it just goes to show where, you know, that the consciousness in future lives, we won't have this issue in some lives where we are, you know, struggling to remember our connection to where we came from and where we're going to. I mean, can you imagine a life where you're less of a doubting Thomas and you just know that is truth, and how you would live in the present moment from that truth, how you would treat each other?
Yes, actually I can imagine that. And I think by living your dream, and by exactly doing that, by just imagining that, you're already bringing it in. And it goes this far. They often say, play, play, play. It's like the mantra, go play with it. So if you can picture it, play it out. They actually, I say they because Arjun always speaks in the multiple plural, because they literally are a group speaking. There's more beings involved. But so where they're coming from, and this is, as I understand it, fourth density, fifth dimensional energies, and they still choose to be physical in that sense. They understand that if you can imagine something, you actually already are it. So, and then if you play it, for instance, with a friend, you do a role play of you being in an entirely different situation than you are actually in right now, as it looks through your reflection. Then by playing that, you physicalize it, you draw it in faster. So this is why, and this is a nice way to come to the arts, this is why following your heart and creating from that place is exactly the way this structure of our planet works, and we're just starting to discover that. And I think with the law of attraction, you know, as it's been shared in The Secret and stuff, it begins with the mindset, of course, accessing the frequency of already being there, And then the next step, in a sense, that my guides often suggest to people in question and answer, go do it. Go do it in whatever way you feel is possible for you now. Don't sit and ponder it. I mean, it's very beautiful if you can get there with your mind, but do something with it, even though you don't know where it's going to lead. But stay on that frequency and put it into some kind of manifestation.
God, that's so important. That's so important. I mean, it's, I see you already becoming a force of nature in what you're going to do, because I think it's inevitable, because you're so in alignment with what you're doing. You don't question, well, I know you've questioned it before, but I mean, you're so happy with where you are now, and everything that you've done, the work you've done for clients speaks tenfold, because you're bringing out information to them sometimes in a reading and you're thinking, well, I've got to say this, but I don't understand it, and it's a lot of trust in that.
Never know.
Yeah, so that's a lot of trust, isn't it? To be able to just give the information unfiltered, and you're living in this joyous space because you found what you love. And for me, I'm always one of those people that would be, I found what I've loved, but I still question it. You can be your own worst enemy sometimes, to cut yourself off from your gifts.
If I can say something about that, I do give myself constant permission to change my mind in any given moment. And I think that's really important, because even I can feel, of course, I have an ego and it wants to play out with stuff, and that's beautiful. And so we have our games. But so I think it's really important whenever I feel insecure or another layer of insecurity comes up regarding to the work that I do, or in my personal life, how I'm following my passion, because I'm screening myself and my thought patterns a lot. I feel if I'm not constantly on the sharp edge of the knife with myself, in a sense, that I cannot really honestly do this work, because I would feel like a fraud, I guess. So I'm pretty, I can be firm with myself in that sense. And then it's so important to keep compassionate and to understand, okay, this is my joy. I'm following my heart to the best of my ability, but also without being harsh. Be your own parent, in a sense. Look at yourself as a child. You're still a child. We're all children. Arjun keeps saying you're all children, and this is why you want to play, because you want to play. You don't want to make anything work or a job. So it's important to stay awake in that. But of course, there's a fine line, and I'm also being challenged now and then to definitely look at that. But as much as I can, I keep track of where I am emotionally. And when I feel a lower frequency pop up, I can actually be really surprised about it too. But I like to sit down with it, in my mind, and then really go where did you come from, and what do you want to tell me, and where can I change my behavior to give that some room and shift to a different frequency.
But
of course, you don't want to shove it off the table.
No.
Sorry.
No, absolutely not. But I mean, that process, that's not all the time, is it? That's just a reflection now and then when it needs to happen. It's not, you're not processing everything that way. No,
because there's a lot of flow. Definitely, I've never experienced this much flow in my entire life.
That's so true, isn't it? That what you've just said. There's another big point, is flowing. That's what you do as well. You just flow, and I see this with a lot of people, and it's a really good place to be in.
Yeah, it is the best.
No, it really is. And another thing as well is that, okay, so you could say, well, there's a lot of channelers out there, each with someone else that they're bringing through. But I think that the world is a big place, and there's different voices resonate to different consciousness. So your voice, what you're bringing through, will resonate to the right. You'll reach the right audience. Basically, you can't. The consciousness that you bring through will not always resonate with everyone, but yet someone else may bring something else through that fills in that gap, and so on and so forth.
I'm so happy about that. Yeah, because you wouldn't want to be the one. That's really, that's a responsibility, or that can create the illusion of a responsibility that is beyond, you know. So I love that there are so many messengers, and I see a messenger in every person. I mean, I can walk on the street and see something happen across the street between two complete strangers that teaches me something that I really needed to know in that moment. So I basically see channeling as a constantly unfolding rain of information almost that is just pouring down through everybody that I meet. And especially, you know, especially the people that push my boundaries. They are the best teachers in the world.
Yes.
Yeah, so in all honesty, I have to say that pushing of the boundaries helps me become awake again of where I'm not in alignment with myself yet. So I'm learning so much. And also from stepping out into the public with my work, I'm learning so much, and it's so beautiful to become more focused, because that's what I feel is the result for myself. I become more and more focused. What do I really want to do? And why am I doing?
Was it scary for you to sort of go public with this?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, most of my life I didn't speak of these experiences. And this is why I did art school, because in a sense, I mean, I loved doing that, but I felt intuitively that that was the best way for me to translate and to process whatever I felt was going on for me. And I had so much fun doing that. And there wasn't an insistence that it should be different. But when everything became more clear to me and I started to understand more of where information was coming from, and who they were, as I am choosing, of course, to see them as their own person, but also understanding that they're a reflection and a part of myself. It was exciting to step out with this, because even most of my family didn't know, and even in romantic relationships, I didn't share that. Like until my late 20s, I kind of started to come out. So it really felt like coming out of the closet for me. And then when I started to do the channelings without blocking it and really going for it and really opening up myself to just have myself evolve more and more on this path, because I'm constantly learning, that was such a roller coaster, such a beautiful journey, and it still is, of learning more and expanding more and being able to love humanity more, because my heart is just growing so much bigger because I'm accepting more of me more. It's being reflected, I feel.
Oh, I think so. I think so. I just see that you know, you're someone who's not just started their path, because obviously you've been doing it for a little while now, but someone whose journey is going to take off. I just feel that, and it'll be at the right time as well, if that makes sense. And
there's only timing for everything. Thank you, that's so sweet to say.
I just because I think there's you've got this connection with art as well, and I think that's a powerful side. And you know, we'll just bring up one of the pictures right now on the screen of one of the drawings that you did when you was 18 as well. It was more of a sketch in a sense, but this was your sort of first channeled message that came through in a sense.
Yeah, so like I said, I got a lot of things in images, more images than words at that time. They actually don't speak. So I would write poetry about their world where they don't speak. And I felt that poetry, I even had an aversion to speaking. So you can see how much of a throat chakra story this was for me. And as a child, I know, yeah. Chatterbox. No, as a child, I was really, really silent for a very long time. I learned to speak much later in that sense. But in their world, they just use telepathy, and it still makes a lot more sense to me. And of course, this is how we are speaking now. They don't use language. It's just thought concepts, and it's instant, and it's complete. And our language just doesn't grasp that. Just the language on itself cannot, I think, so far as I've experienced, contain that much information in the words. But still, it's beautiful, and this is why I loved poetry so much, because it's so compact. Like, for instance, I can hardly read Rumi's poetry without starting to cry, because it's so pure. Like, there's such a high level of wise light in there. Yeah, but I would make sketches exactly, and from the beings that I saw. So this sketch that we just looked at was, I believe, to have been a Sasani being, and it was way before I knew of Bashar. And when people saw my drawings, they said, "Oh, it's a little bit like the typical ET, the gray, but it's more human." And I said, "Exactly, that's exactly what it is, because it's a hybrid." I knew that much, but I didn't know what to do with it.
What did your family think, or did you show your family the pictures?
The drawings many of my friends saw, because we would draw together often. So when I was 18, I would hang out with a group of friends and we would be just drawing for fun.
Yeah.
And this is again one of those things that I would say, just do impulsively, follow your impulse of what you want to do. So to everybody who feels drawn to do drawing or arts, follow your instinct, because you may not know where it will lead you. And I didn't know what I was doing, but eventually I'm so happy that I made that, because now I have some, in a sense, documentation of my process as well.
Oh, of course. And just off air as well, something that you said which was pretty amazing, but because I've heard it from other people. Well, we spoke about that. I had Aniana Kamarik. I'm gonna get the name wrong. I know I am, right? But she came on, and what you said was just what she said as well, in the sense that you will be intuitively guided to just draw whatever you're intuitively gonna draw, and if you're gonna change it, you're gonna change it. And I was like, I've heard that before. Yes, that's so spot on.
I actually did that, like I said to you earlier, be working on a canvas and then actually just turn it around upside down and then continue it. And it's also nice to look around you in the world, I think, to just take snapshots of close-ups of things, because almost everything has such beauty in it. You can just stand waiting at a bus stop, look down and see a certain composition in the tiles of the street where the grass is growing in between, and there's this whole tiny little micro world. So it's just the glasses that you choose to look through that determine how much art or beauty is in your life, I think.
That's so true. That's so true. And I think that resonates in your art as well. And just remind me, do you sell your art? I mean, I don't know, do you?
Sometimes I do, yeah, but sometimes I also feel it's very hard to let go of an original. And then if somebody really wants it, I found a way to go around that. If I'm not ready yet to let go of it, because I really look at them as my babies sometimes, then I can make a canvas print for them, so they still have almost the original, and it's still 3-dimensional for people that really want it.
And that makes sense, because I think the energy that was put into that picture is still there as well. Do you find that there's a certain energy that the pictures resonate as well?
Oh, most definitely. And then I don't know if there would be room here, but we could show the image of the animals.
Absolutely, yeah. Let's put them on the screen now. Yeah. Which one are you referring to? Yeah, and we'll put it on.
So I started in the visitations that I have with the beings. They often came dressed up as animals, and I love animals. And one of my first things that I wanted to do as a result of the interactions with the ETs was to become a vegetarian, because I understood or at least for myself, I understood that I don't want to be a part of that loop of destruction, in a sense. I'm not saying that everybody should be vegetarian at all. I'm just saying that's what I felt, and it really went through my heart. So I chose to be a vegetarian, and there was just this unconditional love for animals since I was a child. And so they came as animals to kind of gain my trust. And it worked really well. And they changed color and shape during the visitations until eventually they warped into humanoid. But the animals themselves had such a high special frequency to them. They were often albinos with blue eyes, really big eyes. And so this image is one of those, where I tried to capture the energy of what I think they represented to me.
Yeah.
And later they turned in... Then later I started painting the beings more as I see them now.
And there's one just behind you as well, isn't there?
Yeah.
This picture. Yep, there we are. Yep. Okay. And how long ago did you draw that as well?
So I call her Nanook.
Nanook, that's
she gave me that name while I was painting her.
Yep.
And I think it's about maybe a year old now, but it might be a little younger. And I changed it a tiny little bit recently, but I think it's now
beautiful.
It's good.
No, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Because when I came to your place and I saw that, it's got a definite energy to it, most definitely. Yeah, and with the art as well, it's just another way of expressing the channeling, isn't it? It's just another way of channeling, isn't it? It's consciously as well.
It really is, and so are people who make music or sing.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Wow. I mean, I love toning, for instance, and I know that some extraterrestrial beings can travel on the frequencies of our own voices, and we can plug into that dimension that they are on, or get closer to it at least, get to the halfway point. And within the toning, when we do that together, you actually co-create another step closer to that world, or to more open contact in a sense, or closeness to your own higher self, which is probably the first thing they would want to point out. So yeah, it's in sound, it's in colors, it's in everything that we call genuine passion that's being followed with integrity.
No, that's God. The toning, yeah, I can. That's right. There is something in that. There really is. And there's lots.
Have you ever done it?
I've been with people that do it. They do the bowls as well. Do you know the toning? Yeah. And it was amazing. Do you know the resonance of it, and it's very. I would say go experience it, because it's a pretty cool, and it's also something that's very, you can meditate while being in that presence as well, and it like you say, it tunes you to a higher level of consciousness.
And so does movement, to not leave out the dancers. I mean, I basically since I was a child, I was in love with all the arts. I felt like all the arts. But also yoga, there is a power to aligning your own energy system in that way. And with diet as well, there's so many ways. So basically, just to underline that, it doesn't have to be necessarily pointed out as having contact with the extraterrestrial beings. I think that all of these things are pathways to a higher frequency of yourself.
They really are. And as you mentioned there, even movement of the body, even working out, do you know what I mean? Even exercise is a way of experiencing some of that as well. Yeah,
I think so. You can get to the super clear state of mind, because of your maybe repetitive or very focused motion.
That's an aha moment there. Do you know that? When people are, there's lots of people that want to, get into being healthier nowadays, and maybe they don't understand that by going into that space, they're actually, increasing their consciousness in a sense, or they're tapping into something that just on a smaller scale, just tapping in or just grabbing parts of themselves, that higher part of themselves that they don't normally get to experience. Yeah,
and I think in a sense there's a lot of spirituality in life in general. I mean, I can see a mother of 3 children baking a pie with such passion and focus and love in that moment for doing every action in the kitchen with full attention. And that is like pure Zen to me. I mean, that's a spiritual practice. It's just about where you're coming from within. And this is, I think, why I can do this work the way I do it, because I keep it down to earth and I can see the beauty of life as it is. It is already really perfect. It's very beautiful already. And from there, I think there is more room for expansion than thinking that the way it looks right now isn't good enough yet or something. Of course, there's room for improvement.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
There always is. And I love that there always is. But this is for me, it helps me surrender to the not knowing what will happen next state in channeling, because it doesn't matter to me. There's perfection right here, right now. It doesn't have to go anywhere. And that's where I go when I channel. I was almost going to say, well, it's actually true. I don't really care where it's going. And because I'm not afraid that it could go wrong, because everything is already perfect, that's why it can flow through.
Oh, God, that's so powerful. You don't care if it could go wrong. You don't care about the outcome of it. So you could be. Let me get this right. You could be in front of a large audience, right? About to do a channel, not completely too sure what's going to come out, because you may have had little snippets come to your little downloads, but not completely too sure. Uh-huh. You just don't care because you're in the moment right now, and if it goes wrong, it's still perfect. But how do you get to that level? Please tell us.
Just be really present and don't care. When you care. Okay, so this is another shortcoming of our language, I really feel. Because I want to say, when you care, that means that you want to steer it in a certain direction already. But of course I don't mean don't care as in take your heart out of the equation. That's not what I mean. So you want to feel, you want to care in that sense, but you don't want to force it having to go somewhere, or think or trick yourself into the illusion that something is depending on it, because that's the biggest trap, I think, for people to start channeling and follow their dreams, to start buying into that something is depending on it, because there isn't. And I think it's because I did art school and I already stood up to all the criticism of course, people saying you will never find a job and you're gonna be this poor artist. And I was a really happy poor artist. And I saw people with a 9-to-5 job that were jealous of my lifestyle, because I had time to live organic and to do yoga in the morning, So there are things money cannot buy. And I'm not saying money is unimportant, but it's really about finding the balance.
Oh, don't worry, we're gonna get into money. Don't worry, and lots of other things, right?
Oh.
Yeah. Thanks for mentioning it as well. I think what you're saying as well is just being yourself is perfect. Yeah. That's enough. Just be yourself.
Yeah.
That's all you've got to do. You haven't got to be anyone else. You haven't got to change to try to fit in, or try to make that person like you. Being yourself in this world is all that life wanted in the first place.
The funny thing is, when you say that, I guess when we try to fit in, that in itself, that statement in itself reveals that you don't believe you fit in already. So, and as a child, I was teased pretty much in school, and that taught me such beautiful lessons. And I'm so grateful for all these bullies. Would you believe it? I'm like, yay! They are a big part of my university of life, teaching me that no matter how excluded from a group you may seem, you fit in. That is exactly the role in that moment that I could learn a lot from. So that's why I received that gift. I'm really looking at that as a gift. They gave me the opportunity to find a level of self-confidence that is harder to find when you naturally always fit in the picture, let's say, and then later you walk into some hardship in your life and you feel you drop out. So for me it was more like finding my way in, but the paradox is, by following my eccentric self, I guess, if you look from the commercial point of view, I've never felt fitting in more than I do now.
Yeah.
Even though I understand that for some people I must look like something really exceptional in what I'm doing.
I was about to say, maybe only in what you're doing in that sense. I mean, if I saw you in the streets, you wouldn't know that that you channeled. You know what I mean? You wouldn't on face, on that perspective. But on when you see the bigger picture for some people, if they're listening to this information, they'll see a really beautiful side of what you're doing and why you're doing it, because what you're doing has allowed you to come to this truth that you found now, and it's a very it's the truth of all of us in a sense, and that's the thing about the message that comes through you as well, is and this is the same for me as well, is it seeks for everybody else to find their own truth.
Yeah, and if they want to resonate with your or my message, then they can. But of course they don't have to, because I think everybody will attract to themselves exactly the language that they need to learn something from.
Yes, and if something that we said in this interview does not resonate with them, then they should not go down that road. But everything we're saying right now is only coming from love. That's what we're trying to come from. That kindest part of ourselves, to show others that, well, this is maybe what we think is truth. This is a peaceful truth, and this comes from love. And could this help you in your reality right now to come from greater peace within your life as well? So the main message I think I would want to say or share with people is, don't hold back. Follow your passion. Really, just do it, and don't try to force it in a certain direction, and take it one step at a time, and don't make it a crazy big leap for yourself, because for some people that doesn't work. People often think it needs to be really big ones right away, but it doesn't. You can take it small steps at a time, and again, be your own best parent. Look at yourself like a child with love and compassion, because we're all just taking one step at a time anyway, and there really is no deadline. That's something we fabricate in our minds. We so do, don't we? We so do.
Yeah.
And we're really good at that as well. Really, really good at that.
Oh yeah.
But
it's an art too.
Yeah. But I love what you're saying, because let's just pull this back into what you're saying as well. Passion. Live in your passion. It's so important to get to that point, because if you, I say this in a lot of interviews as well, and I always say I'm like a broken record, but I am a little bit, where if you live your passion, if you want to change the world, right, live your passion. If you don't like the way that if you obviously enjoy your life, but even if you wasn't enjoying your life right now, the best way to get to a better part of yourself, to get to a more happier place, is to really try to be honest with yourself and say, well, what would it, if I could do anything, change anything right now? What about me would I change? Now, maybe you've got a family or you've got commitments, and there's not many things you can change, but just that little bit of time you give to yourself somewhere in the day must be enough to spark something, even if it's to give yourself a bit of meditation to help you guide yourself into that space you're trying to find, to hit your passion.
Or take a walk in nature, because if you do have a family and a lot of burden on you, as you have created that for yourself in that moment at least, then your surroundings, the people around you, will benefit from that as well, because you will be more uplifted, and then they can uplift you again, because it's all ping pong anyway. We're doing this together. You don't have to do it all alone either.
God, there's so much I want to say. I always keep saying that. There's so much I want to say, but there is, and my brain's all over the place with ways that we can take this in the limited time we've got. Okay, well, that's a great point. So living your passion, that's a must. And if you're not too sure what that is, as I always say, well, just small steps at one time. Small steps. Just go with what you think it is right now, and if it changes, that's fine.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's why I said to you before, when stress hits me, in a sense, when I notice that, I give myself permission to change my mind. I see where I feel in that moment that I cornered myself, and I allow myself the idea of needing a way out in that sense, and then I'll look at it closer, and I'm basically telling my ego, if you want to, we can go out of this. We don't have to do this. So when I get really nervous about something, this is how I speak to my ego. So basically, first I'm telling the ego, okay, I heard you. I am really respecting where you're coming from, and I will give you what you need. If you need this, I will give it to you. But then usually we don't need that. I can renegotiate, and it's just insecurity that was coming up, and then you can just love that so much, in a sense, that it transforms into passion again. So, yeah.
And you know, we do put a lot of pressure on ourselves, I feel, sometimes.
We can.
You know, this gift came to me to be look. Well, okay, channeling came to me when I lost everything, right? So that was just my awakening experience for it. But it happened to me in my mid-30s. Yeah, I think when I was 30. Well, I say mid-30s, about 37. I'm 38 now. And I think becoming spiritually aware and awoken happened to me at 30. What is it about when we hit our 30s that it triggers something? It's almost like when we hit our 30s, something big always happens.
That's the question. I don't know. That would be a great question for Arjun, actually. Okay, from my own mind, I would think. I think.
Well, okay, put it this way. For you, it wasn't. I may have this wrong. Then maybe it wasn't when you reached 30 that you had a major awakening. I know it was. You know,
yes, it was at 31.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah, this is true. For me, at least. But why that age? I think it has to do with our society has changed so much. Remember, we had this what they call midlife crisis. And it would be connected to your being 60 or something. I think this generation, our generation, hits that moment a lot earlier. And especially when you're a freelancer, you get confronted in a sense with the freedom and the amount of possibilities that are there for you in your life. And it just comes to you as you evolve on your spiritual evolution. And there is a void there all of a sudden where we have to learn to deal with the enormous it seems overwhelming in that moment, amount of directions you can move into. And for some people that ends up in stagnation and fear and a deep insecurity. What to do next? Because you don't know what's right and wrong anymore, because it's not black and white anymore. And I think that's really beautiful, because from that neutral zone, in a sense, it's neutral. You can go anywhere, and it's just a really beautiful place where we get to choose what do you want to focus on. And there's no more beautiful moment in your life to see that you are free, because that's really what I believe was being communicated to me. It was a big wake-up call telling me you are free, and this is why Arjun could come to me, who basically let me know, you already walked this path of the artist for so long. I had been a freelancer for 8 years. And I was spiritually ready to start doing this vocal communication with him through me. And they just let me know more and more clearly, the way is open for you now. You don't have to take it, but you can. It's just another option.
Yes, absolutely. And I guess as well, there are people coming onto this planet now, or already on this planet, shall I say, that are awakening at a lot younger than 30, right? A lot younger.
Oh, yeah.
So and I just feel sometimes that for some of those people, they put so. I'm guilty of this as well. This is why I'm mentioning it. Really, is that they and me and put so much pressure on themselves to want to achieve everything now, and you can't do that, can you? Everything happens in its own time. I mean, you life will unfold for you when it feels that when your soul's ready for it, basically.
Yeah. This is why I think it's great to make a friend of whatever we are being taught to see as resistance. So very young, I think when I was beginning of my 20s, I practiced myself, and this is really, I think, because I had the downloads, the information from my guides, but I didn't know where it was coming from back then, and I wasn't reading self-help books or something. But I understood if somebody canceled an appointment with me, I could flip it within a second, and I still can. I got really good at that. So if they say, no, this is not going to happen, I'm like, okay, perfect. Then I'm going to do this. Like, there's always an instant plan B.
Good.
And it's just as much fun. And it's because nothing can go wrong. I just convinced myself, and it's basically a state of mind. There is no wrong unless I say so. If I don't get a job, it wasn't meant to be for me. Anyway.
But that's so true, though. Sorry, I'm butting in here, but that's so true, because when you come from that space, life's always looked after you, hasn't it? It's always provided for you. When
I look back at it, I mean, I'm still here.
Yeah.
I've been through quite some challenges for sure. Even like leaving the house real early, and then there was stuff in at least I could mention that as an example of what rationally is the timeline that we agree upon, because I also learned by working with my guys that you can rewrite your past. So you can have the childhood of your dreams. You can look at life as always having been tremendously abundant for you, whether you actually literally experienced that or not. It doesn't matter. And then you create the experience in the now.
Oh, so what you're saying there is that, say, in our current timeline right now, that our past wasn't the way we would have loved it to be, right?
Right.
I think what you're saying is that you can, maybe through meditation or through some practice, go back to that past timeline or envisage it, and then just envisage it healing in a different way or becoming a different way. And maybe my channeling talks about this. We talked about this when we met, actually, that by healing the past, or going into the past, into a painful memory or whatever it may be, you can actually bring it into the current present moment now. So by healing the past, you heal the present moment now. You maybe actually shift into a different timeline or into a different space. Exactly.
And I was practicing that all through my 20s, and I wasn't even aware of it back then, what I was doing. So now when I look back at my 20s and I read the diaries back or something, I can see how I was using these tools. And then at my 30s, I felt like, okay, I've got this, but now what? So, and then this path opened up, and I had no idea this was going to happen. I never necessarily had it on my bucket list to become a channeler, because I was way too shy for that idea even.
Not anymore, and it's
not anymore. I have overcome that.
it's I've met you face to face. You're a beautiful person, and it was great to be in your presence, and I kind of didn't want to leave that night, because I was like, there's so much I want to ask her, but I took away a lot of good things from that, and I really appreciate you giving us your time. I think this is another thing, we mentioned this off air as well. I just want to bring it into this interview as well. Money, right? It's something that we all have to be part of. For me, I've come to the point of realizing there's nothing wrong with it. It's a beautiful thing. I think I was saying to a lot of people will look at where you're at now, and will think, oh my God, she's got it just so easy. She's got clients coming to see her. It's different for her. Her story is different to mine. I'm struggling. I can't just go live my passion. Blah 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 blah. But what they don't realize is just how difficult you had it to get to the point that you're at now.
Yeah, I chose a major school. So just sticking to the timeline that my family agrees on. I left the house real early. I was even homeless for a year at 17. I battled my way back up to having a house and doing art school. So I was still really, really convinced that was the way for me, because my heart was just pulling me there. And I kept on deciding I'm not going to care about what society thinks I should do, because I want to be happy. Like this, I was born to be happy. Like I was the first one. I think everybody is born to be happy, by the way. That's what I believe. But I felt that was such a tremendous engine my whole life through. Like I could really feel when something was out of whack, not on the frequency that the heart is from. And this is why I became a vegetarian at 12. I think I would have become a vegetarian earlier if I would have dared speaking up more in my family. I was the first one to not want to eat meat anymore. But all of these things, and there were so many other turning points where I had no money and I wanted to travel the world. And I thought, where there is a will, there is a way. And then I did couch surfing, and it happened. And with the work that I'm doing right now as well, and everything always came together. And I think it's really because I chose to believe that it could. And this is why I'm sharing this timeline still with people as an example to let them know what is possible for the transformational journey that is in that. Because I really believe if you don't put any limitations on what you think your reality looks like, then there are no limitations. God. Because we create them.
Oh, that's so powerful. We really do, don't we? And I think as well, would you say that you're very much not into living in the past, not worrying about the future too much when it comes to money, but being here now is the most important place if you want to, you know...
Totally. Yeah, that's actually why I have to move through some little boundaries in myself still. When you bring up, it hasn't been easy, because there's part of me that doesn't want to underline that anymore. Because it's been beautiful. Like, my own conclusion is it's been perfect. It's just been perfect. With every single element of it, I've made it into a part, of life that I can look at as being sublime. And I gave that to myself. And then there are people who might say, you're avoiding the pain and stuff. Oh, believe me, I worked through that. Like, I did actual hypnotherapy and shadow work and all of that.
Oh, wow.
But of course, and all of this was in my late 20s as well. And I think you have to clean up the garbage. I don't want to discard the beautiful lessons that are in the shadows, but just calling it garbage because
no.
You have to clean up.
yeah.
Look at it. You have to look at it.
That's so true. And maybe I've not always done that, but I think that's a great place to be out, because I suppose if you're going to go and help someone else, really you need to have helped yourself first as well, or heal, at least healed some obvious parts of yourself that you feel would be better to heal than to just try to... Or maybe for some people, going out there to help others is a natural side effect of healing those parts.
Yes. I think we are all working with our own reflections in a sense. I see a piece of myself in every client, and so I can love them unconditionally. And if I couldn't have trust in their capability to transform what they think right now is a challenge, then how could I help them if I couldn't trust in that for them? And I really truly believe that we are very, very powerful creators, and we can, if we want to, transform even what looks like the most dire situation. Of course, if it's in our highest good, because sometimes, and this may sound a little bit radical, but sometimes death is the plan of the soul. So without discarding that or labeling that as the worst thing, because that's also another trap. Our society has a lot of dogmas, and with me working with the guides and the multidimensionality within myself, I've seen it's become boundaryless. And also through having a near-death experience myself, I feel there is nothing to resist there. Death is a beautiful thing. It's just a transition, and we're gonna go back into more of ourselves.
Oh, of course, you've had a near-death experience as well, haven't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh God, right. That's a. How old were you when you had that?
17.
Oh my gosh! Wow. Well, that would have shifted things for you a bit.
Oh, it was incredible.
Oh my God. Well, okay. Oh no, which one? Okay. Well, so much. Well, look. We're just staying on the thread of money here as well.
Okay, great.
I think. Listen, look. I've battled with this one, and I'm coming through the other side now, and I'm good with it. I'm really good with it. That as long as you've got integrity in what you're doing, as long as you are doing it because it's your burning passion, and which will be a natural side effect of helping others anyway, right? Mm-hmm. And as long there's no more as longs really. Just come from those spaces of love and integrity and everything else, right? And then guess what? The money will flow. And if it's mega amounts of money that you want to experience, well, go ahead and do it. But just be clear on why you would want that experience as well. Yeah, you have to be really, transparent with yourself on why you'd want to experience that, because everything's got its ups and downs, and there is there is things to lose and gain on anything, isn't there? But there's experiences to have on anything. But just try to be clear with yourself. I suppose that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it doesn't have to come in money, though. I think everything you said I agree with, as long as you come from your heart and your passion, want to help, or in integrity. Mm-hmm. I think then it would be like double dot in a sense, and the universe will support you in whatever way you need in that moment. But it doesn't have to be money necessarily. I've seen thriving people traveling over the world that I met on my own journeys who came around with almost nothing, and they were living their dreams without hardly any money.
Yep.
So I know it's possible. I've seen it. I've lived it. So I think money, if you think of money, you're limiting the spectrum of ways in which abundance could come to you, really.
No, that's true. And be surprised that what you may want to manifest may become something else, and something even better than what you even imagined it was going to be. So just flow.
Exactly. And the money itself can be a teacher as well. You may actually attract a lot of money for a short time in order to lose it all of a sudden. And then you get this beautiful chance to look at yourself in that moment and see how you deal with that. And everything really is a spiritual lesson or a chance for expansion if you look at it from that perspective. And I think, so again, whatever can or might offer you the biggest opportunity for expansion will be brought to you. And sometimes it's money and sometimes it's not, or the loss of it.
Yeah. And I meet you in this interview in your life right now. And don't get me wrong, we've only got about 10 minutes here right now, and I really appreciate you to giving us the overtime on this right now. Thank you so much. But I meet you in this journey on your life right now, while you're single, and for people out there as well who maybe it's not about the money they want to manifest. It's probably about that relationship they want to manifest. Mm-hmm. And for me, my perception, because I've met people that we speak to about this, my perception on that now is shifting as well. For me, I'm not really after any more, well, if I can help it, any more major karma relationships, right? Or any more relationships where it's any caretaker roles, or any relationships where it's just a relationship of convenience until I don't know. I feel in this lifetime I'd rather go against the grain and try to find that spiritual, soulish relationship, if I'm putting the right words out there. I could go to the word soulmate, but I don't really mean it like that. I just mean a really nice, spiritual relationship with someone. Mm-hmm. Could you resonate with that, with where you are in your life?
Yes. So what is the question?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I don't really know. I suppose if there's a question, I suppose, are you waiting for a spiritual relationship? Is that what you wouldn't get involved in any more relationships where it's karma based or caretaking based?
Oh man, there's so many statements in that question. I'm not waiting, first of all, because I don't think the energy of waiting is very helpful. So I just don't wait. And this is the same thing, like when somebody cancels an appointment, I'm like, perfect, I'm going to do that. I have this huge list of things that I love to do. So I'm always doing something of that list. My challenge would actually sooner be to not feel overwhelmed with all the things that I love to do and trying to fit them all in. I really sincerely believe, without a shadow of a doubt, that as long as I keep continuing doing that and living my own highest frequency, I'll meet that person on that exact way. But as soon as I start to believe that I have to alter my route or my ways or my behavior in order to find that person, it doesn't feel good. So for me, I'm just sticking with that. I'm living my truth. I'm sharing what I want to share. I'm doing the work that I do. And it will come to me. I don't have to do anything for that. So I can just sit back and relax, actually, on this topic.
Well, no, that is such
That's
a
what I
powerful.
decided.
No, that's such a powerful answer. Really, right? That's such a powerful answer, because I'm glad you gave that answer, because that's what others have said to me as well, and that's.
Okay.
I kind of did feel that way. I wanted you to say that in one way, or you've said something there that's triggered something, a re-remembrance in me as well. That
Okay.
when you do what you love, that's the best place to meet someone.
I think so.
Because then you're meeting someone on the path that's in alignment with you. When you go out looking for it, or when and there's nothing wrong with going out looking for it, but I think as someone that's a little bit spiritually awake, for me, I would have to go along with what you said there, because that feels so right. That when if you want to meet someone, keep doing what you love. I think, you see, I'm launching a psychic service, right? And obviously, you come to realize that one of the biggest things people call in for, even though it's not up and running yet, but the biggest people can is relationships, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. And I think we've got it wrong. Not me and you, but I mean, I think generally, people that have got it wrong with the way they force things to. Well, no, actually, no. I'll take that back. Nothing's wrong, because they may be having a karmic relationship that they need to. I know that previously relationships that I've had, my soul's cried out for them because it's been needed. Maybe I've chosen to come and have those experiences. I'll be having words with someone when I get back upstairs, but maybe that's what I've come to do. So yeah. I think we're in agreement.
The someone back upstairs being your own higher self.
Yeah. I'm going to write him a stinking great big letter, and then he's probably going to tear it all up, put it in the bin, and say next. So
Why not? No? And I think karmic, the way I look at it, is more the agreements you made with yourself on the topics or energies that you have chosen to still explore a little further in this life. But I don't believe that we are a victim or, voiceless in that. I don't think there is anything written in stone already. Like, this is a relationship you need to have, and otherwise this whole life has failed. if it doesn't come through that relationship, that lesson or that theme that you have chosen on a higher level to work out here, it will come to you in another way.
Right.
And actually, I don't feel single that much, because I have I choose to be very much in the here and now with every person that I interact with, and through my clients, I learn about love through with the channelings that I do. So I'm in a constant relationship, and exactly like I said before, when I walk on the street and I see other people doing something and it moves me, I feel like I'm in a relationship. So you're never alone, really, anyway.
No, and that's. Thank you for sharing that. I tell you what, in the future, when people are watching this, that will help people so much. It will help the right people.
If they want to, that would be nice.
Oh, it will. No, trust me. Everything you're saying, it's what most people. Yeah, as you just go on this journey, you come to realize that is the right way forward. What you're saying there, because that's the great thing about this work, isn't it? And in this field that I'm in, that I've realised, and you've heard these words before, that we all are teachers for each other, and that we all meet each other, me and you, everyone else, as equals, really.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. I really believe that. So thank you also for this exchange and what I'm learning now. And it's a co-creation always.
It is. It really, really is. And you'll never. The thing is with this information, this journey, you never stop learning, do you? You never stop learning.
No. Don't you love it? I love it. I think that's so cool.
I do. It's just sometimes it can be a little bit painful, and it's, because you're on stage once only in this world, and you don't get chance to rehearse it. You don't get chance to retake it. Once it's done, it's done. If it's ugly or whatever, it's out there. Then you've just got to make the best of it.
Oh, we could do a whole other interview on that. Because with all the knowledge of parallel timelines and how you can, that would actually not even be a statement you can make anymore. But of course, there's only here and now, and it's this here and now experience that you're focused on right now, that I am focused on right now. And wanting that to be of the highest possible frequency, that is a journey that makes us our own journey, I believe. And I personally love that. I love that I don't know what's going to be around the corner. I think that's really why we chose this type of exploration, being a human being in this density.
Absolutely. And I'll just we're about to end this here, but I will say this as well, that going back on what I've said before and what we've talked about, when you live your passion, it's so important that's when you're in alignment. And you know what, even if I'm going to have another business that's going to do something completely different very soon compared to this, I would always keep this going, because I would use that other business actually just to generate some money to plow back into this, because I'd have passion for the other one, I've got passion for this. But I will say this, that doing this show and being in the presence of people like yourself and so many others, I've been so touched by it, and I've met so many people that I really love, that I'm so glad I took this journey and did this, and it continues to fulfill me in ways that I can't really explain sometimes. Yet all I can say is it's true. It's true what you say. It's true what others say. Live your passion, and it's end off. So
thank you for doing that for yourself, Kevin. It's amazing. I love your work, and like I said before, when you talked about your near-death experience and everything that you're sharing with other people, I believe you're a great addition to the raising of the frequency of us as a whole. Thank you for that so much.
Thank you very much. I was just going to say that, as long as I keep that ginger raging a little bit. No, I'm joking. It's all good. It's all good. And I will say this as well. Okay, for yourself, what would you say then, finally, is the most important message of your work?
Of my work? I think we already covered that. To be yourself and to not hold back. To just trust yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I
think I'm living that message. I think I am.
You are. Now, just remind us of your website as well.
It's designfораwareness.com, and like you, I do videos and I share the channelings on YouTube, which is also called Design for Awareness, and the 4 is a number 4.
Okay, so throughout this interview, your YouTube channel, your website, ways to get in contact with you have been coming up on the screen, because obviously you channel, give readings, and there's sessions, and people can book online, and that's been coming up on the screen of ways they can do that as well.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, we didn't even get into your near-death experience and so much other stuff. We'll have to do that on another interview. We will. And who knows, man? Our paths may cross not in Amsterdam, but somewhere else. Who knows? This could be interesting. Well, all I will say is, Wieteke, just thank you so much for joining us today.
You're so welcome, and thank you so much, Kevin, for all your beautiful work.
Well, we've come to an end on tonight's show. Don't forget that you can listen and watch all our past interviews on the More Show's official YouTube channel. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel for new daily shows. You may also find out more on all past and upcoming guests on the show via themoreshow.com, and do like us on Facebook and Twitter for the latest updates. So until next time, be safe.